What's going on, everybody? So, TY Crypto here. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the four catalysts that I think are going to take the crypto markets absolutely bonkers. Now, be patient because this is not something that is going to happen overnight, but over the next 400 to 500 days, we are in a bull run, and we have never had certain things that are happening happen in crypto. Some of them we have, some of them we haven't. I'm going to talk about what they are, right? So those four things. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the halving event, right? That happens every 4 years. That's going to happen every 4 years for, until the year 2150. All right, so we got a ways to go. We've only been through a few of them. If you don't know what a halving event is, the halving is basically the people that are creating Bitcoin, right? I'm going to make this very, very simple. The people that are creating Bitcoin, the miners that are mining it through computing power, they're getting paid in Bitcoin, okay? So when they solve a mathematical equation with all their computer power and all their energy, blah, 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 right? They get paid Bitcoin. That gets cut in half, right? So right now, rough numbers, they're getting paid 6 point something Bitcoin. Is going to get cut in half to 3, right? This is very, very important. This is probably the most important thing with Bitcoin, okay? Because think about it. You're spending the same amount or more money, right, to create these Bitcoin, and then you're going to get half the amount of Bitcoin back, which means to stay profitable, you're going to have to sell it for much, much, much more, okay? And right now, the miners aren't selling it, right? They're going to wait until they can sell Bitcoin at 50, 60, 70,000 a coin, not at 30, 40,000 a coin, okay? So that's very, 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 very important. The next thing that's going to make this stuff go to the moon again is going to be the approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF, whether that's through Valkyrie, whether that's through BlackRock, whether that's through Vanguard, whoever, right? There's like 12 of them out there waiting. And a spot ETF, if you're wondering what a spot ETF is or why that's important, is because right now it's something where Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, these large corporations, they can't really buy crypto with their balance sheet, right? They don't feel safe by using Coinbase. They don't feel safe doing it certain ways. So they need an ETF, right? And that ETF will allow them to flood into this market. And I think that's going to bring trillions just into Bitcoin alone, let alone what's going to happen with the altcoins after that, right? So a spot Bitcoin ETF is going to be very, very important for the market. It is important to remember that it could be a buy the rumor, sell the news type thing, but at the end of the day, that's really irrelevant, right? You just want to keep buying. By the way, not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I would say that's going to be one of the biggest catalysts, right, going to happen, and I think that's going to happen in the next couple of months, okay? The Bitcoin halving is going to start, I think we're like 6 months away from the Bitcoin halving, give or take, as well. January, February, March, I think it's August of next year, give or take. So very, very, very important two catalysts, okay? Let's see, the next is going to be the election. So every election cycle, right, every 4 years we have an election, right? For, this is in the U.S. I don't know where you are, but I'm just talking about the U.S. Every 4 years we have an election. And every 4 years we have a Bitcoin halving event, right? And every time we have an election, the current administration, right, people vote based on the economy. Normally, I mean, there's other reasons, but the economy is a big, big part of why people vote for a president. And if the economy is doing shitty, right? If gas prices are super high, if inflation's high, if the stock market's bad, right? If people don't have, the banks aren't lending, yada, 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 right? People aren't going to vote for that president again. So what you see is that close to that election time, you see the stock market start to rally. This positive aura in the media starts coming out, right? There's this president's doing great because of this and that, and the country's doing better, blah, 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 right? And they do this just to get your vote, right? Regardless, though, that's going to pump a bunch of money in. They're probably going to start lowering rates. These things are going to be a huge catalyst for Bitcoin, right? And then the last is going to be the Fed rate cuts, which is kind of part of what I was just saying. But during this next bull run, which we have about 490 days left, right? And give or take, I mean, I could be off by 5-10 days, right? But just based on the cycles, we have a little bit less than 500 days left of the bull run. You're going to see rate cuts come, and whether that's next year or 2025, you're going to see them in the next year and a half, okay? When rate cuts happen, that means that people are going to start buying again. That also means that the Fed is going to start printing ridiculous amounts of money, right? Not that they don't print still, but that money is going towards wars. That money is going towards stuff that you and I, the average day person, doesn't really get to see, right? Whereas if they start printing money, it's going to help the banks. They lower rates. It's going to also help the banks. It's going to boost the stock market, yada, yada, yada. So you have these four catalysts that are coming in the next year and a half during this next rally. And we've never had these four all at once, mainly because we've never had an ETF. Right? They've approved, what's it called? The SEC approved a futures ETF, but you can't, it's not the same. It's not the same at all, right? So with this ETF, with the Bitcoin halving, with rate cuts and an election all coming in the next year and a half, right? I really think you're going to see not only the crypto markets explode, but the stock market explode as well. But I think where the real gains are going to be is going to be in crypto. Okay, so if you're someone that's still sitting on the sidelines, right? Because so many of you were burnt on the last one. But imagine, even if you were burnt and you lost a bunch of money, right? Imagine if you were buying this entire time since November of 2021, when it started to go down, or was it 2021, 22? I think it was 2021 or 2020. I don't remember the exact date. I know it was in November. That was when we peaked, right? And it started to go down. I remember because it was close to my birthday, and I had millions, and I just saw it drop dramatically. So I started buying again. I started to keep on buying all the way down to the bottom, and people would say, "Well, Tyler, why were you buying when it was going down?" Well, because I want to buy at the lowest point, but I don't know when that lowest point is going to be. And I also know as it's going down, I know it's eventually going to go back up. So as long as I'm patient, I'm not going to actually lose money. My value is just going to be down for a while. And that's why I talk about dollar cost averaging. And it's not too late. So if you're someone, like I said, that's sitting on the sidelines and you're like, I've seen the markets go crazy today, or, these coins are up this much and it's up this much. I saw Bitcoin at 17,000 a few months ago and now it's at 38,000 today. And Ethereum I saw at 1,000 or 1,100 and now it's at 2,000, blah, 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 right? And you're sitting here and you're thinking, oh, it's too late. I missed out. It's not. You've only seen the market go up like 50%, right? 50% may be a lot in the stock market, right? 50% is pennies in the crypto market. I mean, we're talking crypto can give you gains, right? Anywhere from 5 to 100x your money on a regular basis. In some cases, crypto can give you gains upwards of 1,000x your money. That means $1,000 will be worth $1 million. Or if it gives 100x, that's $1,000 turns into $100,000. Right? I'll say this one more time, right? Because I know those numbers seem, they seem like that's like stratospheric numbers, right? Like, well, what's crypto's going to do that? Who knows? But most cryptos are going to do a minimum of a 15 to 20x. Okay? With that said, that's $1,000 that turns into 15 or 20 grand. What could you do with 20 grand right now? And your investments, whether it's your 401k or IRA, right, or Roth IRA, or bonds or bank account, how long does it take you to just double your money? 10 years, 8 years, 6 years to just double your money in traditional investing? Whereas you could take a chance in crypto and you could get a 15 to 20x your money in less than 2 years? It's kind of unheard of. And it seems like I don't know, Tyler. It doesn't seem like that's real, but it is. I've lived it. This is going to be my third bull run. I've literally watched it happen, and I participated in it twice before. I'm going into my third bull run. I was a millionaire before I was 30 for a reason. So again, I'm not a financial advisor. I say this all the time, but not all financial advisors, they don't really know much anyways. They're not. Just because they passed a Series 6 and Series 7, they have a good memory, doesn't mean that they understand the markets, they understand investing, they understand where money is going. And it's clear that blockchain technology, which is the technology behind Bitcoin and all different cryptos, is going to be the future, with Larry Fink and BlackRock getting in, other countries getting in, the banking institutions getting in. It's clear that we are going to see the largest wealth transfer in history. And I promise you, it's not too late.